Hey guys, so today it is time for my August 1 month, 1 palette intro, and for the time being I'm doing this series kind of 1 month on, 1 month off, so I did take July off, and now we are going to be picking out another palette that I'm going to really be focusing on in August. So really the goal of this series is just so that I can really get to know each of my palettes and kind of challenge myself to see how many different types of looks I can get out of one palette. So the rules, if you will, they're not like strict hard and fast rules, but kind of like the general guidelines that I've set for myself is I try to use the palette every day of the month, or at least every day that I wear makeup that month, and each of those days I want to use at least 2 of the shades in the palette. I also like to set kind of a goal for how many times I want to make sure I use each shade, just so that I'm really using every single shade in the palette. Every other day I create a look exclusively with that palette, and then the days in between I can pair it with other palettes in my collection. So then at the end of the month I'll come back and show you all the looks that I created and show you the progress that I made. And I also like to pick some bonus singles to work with for the month that kind of coordinate well with the palette. So for August, I've decided to use a random number generator to pick my palette because there's not really a specific palette that I've had my eye on. I just kind of want to see what we end up picking. So I've gone ahead and made a list of all the palettes that I have not yet had in a 1 month, 1 palette series, whether it be this year or in 2020 when I started this series, and there are 11 palettes on that list. So I am going to pull up my Pretty Random app and pick a number from 1 through 11, and let's see what we get. I got 2. That is my ABH Norvina palette. I love this palette, and this is exciting because I definitely think there are a few shades in that palette that I could hit pan on this month, so let me go grab it. So here is my Norvina palette, how it looks right now at the start of the month. I do already have pan on 1 shade, which is Dazzling. These shimmers in here are very, very soft, so they're not super challenging to hit pan on, and I think I could hit pan on any of the shimmers except for maybe Drama, because that one is just pretty deep, but any of those other shimmers on this top row I might be able to hit pan on. And as far as mattes go, I think I could potentially hit pan on Base or Love, the cream or the pink, but I'm not sure. Mattes are definitely harder for me to hit pan on, so we'll see. I don't think I'm super close on either one of those, but I'm so excited to play with this. This is such a beautiful palette. Oh, I also forgot to mention, the second half of this video, I'm gonna do a palette bingo with this palette so we can kind of kick off the month with a look. That's why I don't have any eye makeup on currently. And something that I've started doing is picking some bonus singles from my Magnetic Singles collection to focus on alongside the palette. So I think because last month I picked some of my Clarity singles, which are larger, they fit in like this larger trio. For this month I'm going to pick some of my regular size singles to go in my little magnetic quad that I have. And so most of those singles are ColourPop, but then I do have a couple of Makeup Geek singles in here as well, and then one little Natasha Denona. Alright, so I'm looking at my magnetic singles, and I think I'm going to grab, since Norvina is definitely a very purpley palette, I think I'm going to grab 2 of my little lavender singles from ColourPop in Howlin' and Prowlin'. Howlin' is a matte, like pastel lavender, and Prowlin' is kind of like the shimmery version of that. Really pretty. I think those will be nice with this palette. Then another of my sort of purpley singles is this duochrome from ColourPop called Earthshine. I think this is also one of the shades in the It's My Pleasure palette. I think the 4th one I'm going to pick out is another duochrome. This is like a really pretty corally bronze duochrome called Thank You Next. And I think that that would be really pretty with some of the pinks in here. So there are those bonus shades, and this is how they pair with Norvina. Such a pretty little color combo. And these singles definitely do not get enough love for me. Like, I feel like Thank You Next I've had in my collection for like 2 years. Could probably count on one hand the number of times I've used it. Honestly, it doesn't look like I've used it much at all. So they need some lovin'. I've got a little bit of a dip going on in Prowlin', so maybe I could hit pan on that one, but I definitely think I have a better chance on hitting pan on some of these Norvina shades. So I'm going to go ahead and count the Norvina shadows as 1 through 14, counting horizontally, so 1 through 7, 8 through 14. And then the ColourPop singles I'll count as 15 through 18. Bringing out the number generator again. And one of you guys enlightened me last month. There is actually an option to prevent re-rolls, so to prevent repeat numbers from coming up. And it also records all of the numbers that you've chosen, so you don't have to sit there and write them down like I've always done. So thank you so much for that helpful information. So I'm gonna put in 1 through 18, and let me clear my history, and let's go ahead and see what we get. So 16, 11, 7, and I'm picking 5 shades, 8, and 9. So 16 is Thank You Next from ColourPop. Excited to use this one. Really pretty duochrome. I'm honestly not sure why I don't use it. I just don't reach for my singles very often. 11 is Love from Norvina. I love that shade. It is just such a perfect pink for the crease. It's not too cool or anything. It's just a nice neutral pink. So far, pretty easy. 7 is Drama, which is actually my least favorite shade in Norvina, just because it's kind of one of my pet peeve shadows where it looks like a really pretty, like, deep, rich purple, but the base of it is very just kind of murky, if you know what I mean. Not a huge fan of that type of deep shadow, but it's fine for, like, you know, a liner or deepening up the outer corner, things like that. Number 8 is Base, which is the matte cream color. Always nice to have one of those. You can hardly even see that swatch, but I did swatch it below the purple there. And finally, 9, which is Soul. And this is like a grayish periwinkle. Very interesting shade. It's definitely a shade that I don't always have the easiest time figuring out how to wear on my eyes. Kind of an interesting grouping here because we've got those pinks and like that really warm kind of rose gold, and then also like this very dusty purple. So not entirely sure where to begin. I think I'll go ahead and start by setting down some of that base, which is the cream matte color. I'm gonna just apply that to the crease and the brow bone. I find that this helps other shadows blend, just any kind of matte cream color like this. But I don't like to put this on the lid just because I like for my eyelid primer to stay a little bit tacky. Alright, next I'm gonna use Love in the crease. I just feel like that's kind of the obvious crease color here. I could use the dusty purple, but that shade I have to be kind of careful because it can make my eyes look like really sunken in. So I might use that as more of like an accent shade today. So I'm just gonna take a fluffy crease brush and apply Love. And that shade would make a really pretty blush as well. Kind of have to like find a brush that'll fit in the pan, but that could be really pretty. All right, I think I'm gonna actually go into Drama, the deep plum, and apply that with sort of this like domed detail brush to the outer V. I'm just gonna slowly build that up. I love this brush from BK Beauty, the 207. This has been a game changer for me. Like, it really makes sculpting out this area so easy. So I will blend that further, but I just wanted to go ahead and kind of lay that where I want it. I'm gonna take this small crease brush from E.L.F, it's just called a crease brush, and I think I'm just gonna use a tiny bit of Soul mixed in with Base so that I can kind of soften it a bit and use that to sort of blend out the edge of that purple. I think that could be really pretty. So I'm just gonna like dab it in there and then there. Next I'm going to take some of my NYX glitter glue and tap this onto that inner part of the lid where I'm going to apply Thank You Next because I want this shade to look very foiled and intense. Just focusing a small amount of that on like the inner half of my lid where my shimmer is going to go. Alright, next just going to pick up some of that Thank You Next shade on a shader brush. Oh my god, what happened? It got super crumbly. See that? I think I like touched it with my ferrule accidentally. Oh man, I didn't realize how crumbly that shade could be. Just gonna tap off the excess on my rag here. It was applying fine with the brush though. Pretty. Oh, that is a beautiful shade. Probably wouldn't have normally paired that with like a deep purple like that. And I am overlapping that with the purple just slightly. It's a lot to look at. I'm just gonna grab that fluffy crease brush, not adding anything else on it, and just sort of blending out the edge there. I also like to challenge myself to not use any additional shades, just use these for the look. So I'm not gonna pull in any other shadows for this. To say it's looking a little harsh on my eyes. I'm hoping that like liner and mascara will kind of pull this together. But I'm just gonna mix Soul and Drama together for my lower liner, just a really, really small dab of each of those. I don't want the lower lash line to be too heavy looking. Just want to add a little definition there. Then I'm gonna take some more of Base as my inner corner highlight just to hopefully brighten that up a little bit, even though it's matte. Just feel like I could use a little bit of brightness here. Yeah, that actually did make a difference. Lastly, I'm going to take some more of that shade on a fluffier brush to highlight the brow bone and just clean up around the edges. Alright, so I've gone ahead and applied black liquid liner and mascara, both actually from ABH. And I've decided to leave my lower lashes bare just to kind of keep my eyes looking a little bit open. For the lips, I know I want to use my Urban Decay lip liner in Manic because this is in my Project Pan. I'm actually thinking I'm going to pair it with this new Urban Decay Plumping Shine Balm in My Dude. It looks very bright and coral. It's actually much more sheer than this. I went ahead and swatched the two. Oh wow, that was a bad place to swatch. On my hand here. I feel like they might look pretty together. We'll see. If not, I can always change my mind. But I sort of feel like this pairing would work with the eyes. Let's see. Let's see how it pairs with this gloss. I think that looks pretty. Okay. Probably gonna change shirts because I don't feel like this like light blue shirt quite goes with this look. But that is the finished look for this palette bingo, and I did manage to use all 5 shades. Probably not a look I'd do again, but it's pretty, it's fun. It definitely got me kind of out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I'm so excited to continue using these shades this month. You will definitely be seeing a lot of these shadows on my eyes throughout the month. Like I said, I'm not restricted to only these. I am allowed to pair these with other palettes, and I actually, okay, spoiler, I just ordered both of the BH Cosmetics palettes that I was interested in, Mimosa and Lost in LA, so those will be coming soon. So I'll probably be challenging myself to pair this with those palettes quite a bit this month because I'm gonna want to play with them. So my goal, let's go ahead and set the goal to use each shade 3 times. So we have a total of 18 shadows that I'm working with this month. Last time it was 19 shadows, and the goal of 3 uses each definitely was doable. So let's try that. And then I'm sure there are many of these shades that I will use much more, especially these shimmers. I love the shimmers in here. And hopefully I can hit some more pans. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little 1 month 1 palette intro. I do lots of content on my channel about just kind of finding inspiration to use the products that I already own. So shop my stash types of things, project pans. I'm actually getting ready to film a project pan update right after this. So if you're into that type of content, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you back soon, and hopefully I'll talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye.